Welcome to Monner's Market, and welcome to my Look What I Made with Trash video. Yep, that's exactly what I'm calling it because that's exactly what I'm doing. Let's get into DIY number one and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So for DIY number one, I did not find, my husband found this old radio at a estate sale that they were trying to sell and nobody would buy it. And they gave it to him because they were just going to throw it in the trash. So he brought it home and I fell in love with it. And I thought, you know what? I can do something with this, but I want to brighten it up. It was so dark and it just really wouldn't fit anything in my house. But I wanted to see if it would work. So I plugged it in and to my surprise, it worked. So let me show you. It's not very good. It's kind of staticky, but listen at this. Now, I decided to use this mold on it because I had had it for a few days and I've been thinking about sort of what I wanted to do with it. And I definitely wanted to embellish it a little bit. Now, this and all of the supplies that I'm using that can be linked in my description box is always linked in my description box for every video below. So I took my clay and I put it in here, but now I'm going to show you something a little different that worked really good for me. Instead of letting it set in there to harden, I went ahead and pulled it out immediately. And my theory was to let it set out and it would dry. I thought it would dry quicker since it wasn't trapped in that mold, which it did. And it was going to be easier for me to clean up the edges, which it was. So do it however you want to do it that works best for you. But for me, this was my favorite way of working with this clay, by putting it in the mold, getting my shape, and pulling it right back out immediately before it had time to dry or anything. And then I would go back and clean it up. I want to say maybe 2 hours or so is when I went back and started working on it to clean it up, because I didn't want it to dry, because when it dries it gets hard, and if you try to cut it or whatever, it'll start cracking on you and it'll break. So I knew I wanted to clean it up while it was still wet, and that is exactly what I done. So I took all 3 pieces and I put them in the mold, patted it down, and cleaned them up. But now I took it right here just to make sure that it was going to fit there and, that it would work in that spot. And I really liked it. So I just went ahead and grabbed my little utility knife and started cleaning it up. And now I haven't even cleaned up the radio yet, but there's a reason, because I knew I was going to make a mess with the clay itself. So I got it on there, and then once I got everything all trimmed up, I went back with a wet rag and I cleaned up the radio really good, because it had been sitting outside for that estate sale for a couple of days, and it was windy and there was sand blowing everywhere, so it was a little dirty. So anyway, I went ahead and took the back off of it and started painting it. Now, whenever I went to go paint it, I painted it with my Ivory chalk paint. Now, I'm going to be using this same theme throughout the whole video, because y'all know I love for my vignettes to match. So even though I'm going to show you the white chalk paint, I'm not probably going to say it every single time, but I'm using Waverly's Ivory chalk paint. That's what it looks like right there. And I'm just going to give it 2 really good coats of this paint. letting it dry in between each coat, because if you don't let it dry in between each coat, all you're going to do is pull your paint right back up. You know, you're sitting there and you're trying to paint, and the more paint you put on top of each other, the more it just lifts off with the paintbrush, and I don't know, it just makes me mad. I get aggravated. So I have learned a little bit of patience with drying it in between each coat, even if I use my heat gun to help me get it dry quicker. So you can cheat if you want to. Now, my original thought was to paint everything but the face of this. So you'll see me go without painting the face for a little bit. But in the end, it just didn't look right. It wouldn't have matched the real pretty flowers that I'm going to use on it. A little rub-on transfer that I got from the Dollar Tree. And you'll see me go back in a little bit and paint the front. Now, what you will not see me do is when I put the back on, I did paint it, but I don't think I showed that on film. And I also gave this, and actually all of my DIYs today, a really good coat of Mod Podge when I was done. And what that Mod Podge does is it seals in your paint, it seals in your rub-on transfers, and it gives it all a nice even coat. So now is when I go back and add my little piece right here. Now this I did before I went to bed that night, and I set it on top of it, and I let it sit there overnight so it would dry. So this is just me trying to figure out if those little other things that I made would look good on the side. So I was just kind of playing around with everything here. But I did let it sit there overnight, and I came back in the morning. Now this was before I decided to paint the face of it. I went in with my truffle paint and was going to was going to distress it up, right? Which I did, and it worked, but I got it a little bit too heavy-handed. But it ended up being a happy accident, because when I went back over it sort of lightly with my paintbrush that I already had white paint on, it gave it an even better distressed look, if that makes any sense. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a minute. So I'm going to take my white paintbrush and go back over to sort of tone it down. But look, you can still see it. It's still poking through, but it's not as in your face dark. You know what I mean? Excuse me. But it just looks so much better in the end to me by doing that. Now I'm just going to take my little brush and make those a little bit darker again, because I did want those a little darker. And now I'm just going to glue all my pieces, because like I said, this was the day after and everything had dried and it was shaped perfectly. So I just took my glue. Obviously I'm using my wood glue because it's such a better hold, and put everything on the side and the top. Now I'm just going to go through some stuff that my sweet, sweet friend Michelle sent me and look at. Actually, I think I mixed up some of hers and mine and put them all together just to see what I wanted to embellish this with. Now, I almost went with that because it really went good, but I just didn't want it dark. I wanted it to have a little bit of color to it. So I decided on the pink, and once I decided on the pink, that's when I decided, you know what, this has got to be all white. It can't just have that dark face, because that would have clashed so bad, and that would not have looked good no matter what. So I got that same ivory paint and just went through and painted it really good so that it would match the rest of the radio. And now you just see me doing the same thing, going over that, like distressing it down with that truffle, and then going back over it with the white again. Now I'm going to take these rub-on transfers, and I'm just going to speed it up a little bit, because you don't need to sit here and listen to me run my mouth for 20 minutes rubbing on transfers. But I'm just going to put them on the front and a couple on the side. And once I do that, I'm going to put the back on. And after I put it back on, like I said earlier, I do paint it, but I just don't do that on camera, because why would you want to sit there and watch me paint the back of a radio? You know what I mean? And then I got my Mod Podge out, and I just went all over the whole thing to give it a really pretty sheen. You know, everything matches. It's got the same finish on all 3 pieces, and it seals in my paint, and it seals in my little rub-on transfers. But let me know down in the comments, I'm kind of regretting putting either the embellishments or the rub-on transfers around the top and the side. I don't know, I should have left one of them off, is what I'm thinking in my head, but I don't know if it should have been the embellishments or if it should have been the flowers, or would you have done it like I done it and just left it like that? You know, when you do something, you're so critical of yourself. I think I said that recently too. I'm so critical of myself, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I hadn't have done this, or I wish I hadn't have done that. And when I say that, you guys come back with some of the best advice, and trust me, I listen to it and I take it into account, and I truly do, you know, incorporate that into my future DIYs. So keep the advice coming, keep those suggestions coming. I love constructive criticism. It's what helps me grow and become a better creator for you. So now I am just taking that truffle and just dressing just the edges just a little bit to give it a little bit more of a rustic, farmhousey, shabby chic look. You know what I mean? Like my favorite kind of look. But once I did that, after I got the back painted and got everything done in Mod Podge, this was done, and I fell in love with it whenever it was all done. Like I said, I'm not too crazy about the top and the sides because it just seems to be too much for me. But I can't figure out in my head which would I have rather done. Would I have rather left the flowers on there or the embellishments that I made? So let me know down in the comments which one you would have done. But let me show you how this beauty turned out in the end. Donnie was so proud when he brought this home, and I'm so proud. I was tickled that he thought of me and he knew I could turn it into something really pretty. And he actually has not seen this yet because I just finished it last night and he was still asleep. So I can't wait for him to wake up and see what it turned out like. But let me know down in the comments what you think about my transformation of this radio. It looks like this, and now it looks like this. So let me know if you would have just left it alone, or do you like the way it turned out? Now you can kind of see on the side what I'm talking about. So I got the flowers, then an embellishment, then more flowers, then the big embellishment, and then sort of the same thing on the other side. Now I want to show you something. Now, before I go any further in the DIYs, I want to introduce you to Flexispot's desk. They have several to choose from. I happen to pick this one. It has a beautiful sort of a white milk glass top, and it is gorgeous. It took longer to open this box, or these 2 boxes. It came in 2 boxes. It took longer to open the 2 boxes and lay everything out than it did to put it together. This was the easiest thing I have ever put together, ever. Now, I did have Donnie help me because the pieces were kind of heavy, but it is made so good. It is super solid. It is so sleek and so beautiful, and it's just the perfect addition to any office. Like I said, they have so many different things to choose from. This particular desk is called the Comhar, C-O-M-H-A-R, Comhar standing desk with drawer. It has a really smooth drawer that comes out. It's a very large drawer. I'll show you that in just a moment. It's not necessarily deep large, but the size of it is really big. And it is really smooth. It just comes out super easy. As this desk is going up and down, the purpose, let me go back and tell you about Flexispot. The purpose of these desks are for people like me and my husband who have had back surgeries. And say you're a worker that works from home and you're at your desk all day, or even in your office and you're at your desk all day. It hurts to just sit there for a long time for some of us. Well, with this desk, you just scoot your chair back, you stand up, and you raise the desk to your particular height. This desk comes with 4 different settings that you can set to any height. Like mine, number 1 is all the way down. Number 2 is the height that is good for me with my desk chair under it and me sitting down with my computer. I hope that makes sense. So that's number 2 for me. Number 3 is all the way up. And then I haven't programmed anything for number 4, but it also comes with 2 USB slots for you to, be able to plug your telephones or whatever in, a printer or whatever you need. And I love it because this one even comes with a Type-C input. And this right here is how easy it was to put together. There were 4 screws on each side at the bottom, and there were 4 screws on another piece that I'll show you in just a moment that is the actual legs that go across the top that attach. So it came basically right here is the other piece. There's 4 screws right there. That's it. 8 screws on each side, and this thing, it was done. It took exactly 12 minutes from the time I had everything out of the box and all laid out to the time I was able to set it up and display it. Took 12 minutes. I kid you not. It was so quick and easy to put together. And like I mentioned earlier, it is just a gorgeous, gorgeous desk. Again, you can pick from a black top. You can pick from a bamboo top. You can pick from a white top that's glass. Go on their website. It will be listed in the link below, and check out what they have. They also have chairs, like office chairs. They have recliners, which I showed you a couple of weeks ago, which is going to come in super handy today when my husband has his surgery. Now, as I'm filming this, we are several weeks out, but when I show this video, it will be the day that my husband has his back surgery. And we actually moved the chair to my bedroom because it's a lift chair. But anyway, back to this table. This is the table going up and down, and it says top when it's all the way to the top, and it says BOT when it's all the way to the bottom, and you can actually lock it in place. I don't know if you noticed or not, but it said LOC for lock. It shows you the inches, that you're going up and down. It's just amazing. It is so quiet. You don't even hear it moving up and down, and it is beautiful. Again, everything will be listed in my description box to go get you one of these. I highly, 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 highly recommend this desk if you are in the market for a desk. Look at that beautiful glass top. I am obsessed with this desk. You guys know I do different things all the time and will mention it. Here is that big old drawer. Look at that monster. It is humongous. It is so big. My computer is a regular size laptop, and it's big enough for me to set my computer down in there and still have a ton of space all the way around it. Isn't that crazy? And it's real smooth when you open it and shut it. Like I mentioned earlier, it's just super smooth. I love, love, love this desk. Look how beautiful it is. You cannot beat this for looks. Now, I'm just going to show you here that if you plug something into the USBs, it does work and it does light up. Look at that. Isn't that neat? I got this little light from Amazon. I'll list that in the description box below too. That's like if I'm working on something kind of small and tedious and I need a light really close, I can just slide my hands under it and work right there. It's really cool. It wasn't very expensive. I'll throw that in the description box too. But look at this desk one more time. I am going to hush about this desk because I could go on and on and on about it. And we're going to get back into my DIYs. But go check out the link below. Flexispot Comhar standing desk with drawers. Now let's get into DIY number 2. If you remember, I showed on my social media where I found some more cabinet doors. Y'all, I was tickled to death. I'm still tickled because I've only made one thing out of it, and I can't wait to use the rest of them. And the funny thing is, I literally found these doors at the next door neighbor that I found the other doors on. So maybe everybody in the neighborhood is getting ready to redo their cabinets, and I'm going to rack up because that's the street I happen to work on. So I'm going to take these little hinges off and save them, because you don't never know when you might need a couple hinges. So I'm going to take them off. I'm going to wipe it down real good and get it cleaned up. I want you to look at the shine. I love that wood. I couldn't imagine. These are solid wood. I couldn't imagine taking them down and replacing them with anything. But, you know, I mean, it's not my house. But I love it. I love the way they look. I love that they're solid wood. And I love that they were free. And no, there is no shame in my game, honey. When I seen them on the side of the road and they were clean, and I just, I stopped, backed up, grabbed them, and ran around to the store now. I wasn't even gone 5 minutes. And when I come back, the garbage truck had already come and took the rest. I was going to stop and get those last two big long ones, but they were already gone. So I was like, shoo. I was so glad I stopped and went ahead and grabbed these when I did, or else I'd have missed them to go grab a Sprite. So anyway, same thing. I'm going to use that Ivory chalk paint, and I'm going to give it 2 good coats of paint. Now this one will go kind of quick because I didn't do a whole lot to it, but I think the transformation was absolutely gorgeous. I love the way my little tray turned out. And yes, you are right. I did put some feet on it. That is actually a standing joke in my live chats with my little group. I have some of the best people that come to my live chats during my premieres. And y'all, I will use anything for feet. If you're new to my channel and you're not really, you haven't watched a lot of my videos, or this is your first video, first I want to say welcome. Welcome to Monter's Market. I'm tickled you're here. My name's Brenda. But I like to put feet on the bottom of things. And I like to turn them into little risers or trays or whatever. And as soon as I posted this on social media, somebody said, it needs feet. And that's the first thing I thought was, I could put me some feet on this and make a little tray or whatever. And so, yes, I will be adding feet. For those of you who guessed that ahead of time, you are right. And then I'm going to take some more of those transfers that were left over from DIY number 1, and I'm going to add them to the top of this tray, just so that everything matches my little vignette today. And let me tell you something. My husband is about 90% finished with my new craft room, y'all. We had a little carport that was like, I want to say a 20 by 24, something like that. And it had a concrete bottom and then the steel top. And he said a couple months ago, he said, we need to turn that into your craft room. Because I just had outgrown my little 12 by 20 shed. He said, we need to turn that into your craft room. So he's been working his little hiney off for the past few months by himself. He's such a handy man. Oh my God, I love that man to death. He can do anything. But he has single-handedly went in, and the only thing we have left to do is today he's going to finish up the insulation on the one wall, and then the electricity goes in, then my actual walls go up, and I'm going to use, what does he call that stuff? I think T111 or something. It's a real hard pressed board, but I'll be able to drill into it and hang things without having to worry about it if it were sheetrock ripping the wall out. So that's why he decided to use that, and I'm tickled with it because that's what's in my other shed, and I could hang literally anything on those walls. So that's all he's going to have left to do after today is electricity, the main wall on the inside, and after he gets that done, then I get to paint and move in. So I'm tickled to death. So anyway, let me get back to my little DIY here. I just had to give you a little update on my shop. So I'm just going to take these little embellishments and just add them on here just to give it a little pretty, just to pretty it up a little bit and give it some color and make it all match, because y'all know I'm all about that matching vignette in the end and making it all pretty and just coming together for you. So after I did this, I'm going to pull out some, I want to say they're candle cups from Woodpecker Crafts. I know y'all know I love me some Woodpecker Crafts. And what I'm going to do is used for these 4 feet. And at first I was like, well, I wonder, should I do it like that or should I flip it and use it like that? And in the end, I decided to use the skinny end to glue it with. So now I'm going to go in with my antique wax and I'm going to paint all 4 of these. And then once I paint it on, I'm going to wipe it off with a baby wipe. And it just brings out the beauty in that wood. So gorgeous. Now, I'm just giving it a rough, distressed paint job. I'm not really trying to make it perfect because I love a shabby chic, rustic farmhouse. Like, that's my vibe in my home. And I love it like that. So, in order to get that look, you don't want anything perfectly painted or perfectly embellished, or nothing's perfect. Like, it's old, it's raggedy. It's just pretty in my opinion. I love it. So anyway, I wasn't, like being real careful of how I painted my little feet here. So once I got it painted on there, like I said a minute ago, I come in with my baby wipe and I wipe it all off. And then I'm going to glue them on the bottom of my little tray. And then once I got them all glued down to the bottom of my tray, I was going to distress it a little bit different than using like the antique wax or the truffle or something to sort of distress it with. I was just going to take my sanding block and sand it down to distress it, but I don't know what happened, but I could not get it to sand any of that paint off. So what I ended up doing, you'll see here in just a minute, I'm getting ahead of myself, is I took my utility knife and used it as a scraper and just started scraping it off. Now that worked like a dream. And here it is. I'm going to show you right here how, and I was barely rubbing it. Like, I wasn't going into the wood at all. I was just scraping the actual paint off. And now that worked. So once I got that done, all I did was cleaned it all up, get that dust off with a baby wipe. And that, my dear, was done. And this is what it turned out like. And I love it. And it was free. And who don't like free? My heavens, look at that. Is it not just adorable? And wait till you see it all come together in the end. I am obsessed with this stuff, y'all. Look at those little feet. Now, y'all can't tell me them feet ain't cute. Them are turned upside down candle cups, but they work perfectly to raise this little cabinet door up and make it a little tray. I love the lip that's on there with the edging of the cabinetry, and you can set something down in there like I did this candlestick. But look, y'all, let me know what you think about this. Now, DIY number 3 is going to be super quick and super easy. I've kept you long enough, but I was going through some stuff out in my shed, and it was a box of stuff that I was going to throw away in the trash. Well, somehow I saw this peeking out of the edge, and I thought, that must, it must be broken. And I pulled it out, and it was still good. And I thought, well, why in the world would I have thrown this away? So I don't know how it got in the trash pile, but I quickly pulled it out because I had the neatest idea. I had 2 of these embellishments left that I knew I wasn't going to use on something else, and I knew they would be perfect on this little planner. So I gave it a real heavy distress coat of that ivory chalk paint. I put the big one on the front, rubbed it on there. Look, I'm telling you, that's adorable now. That's about as shabby chic gets right there. And this is hard to say if this ain't my favorite piece of the whole video, but I just love this. And it's, like I said, it's one of those 5-minute crafts. I love to watch Crafts by Caitlin because she's always doing her stuff so quick. Well, that's what this one could be on her channel, as one of those little 5-minute crafts, because it was so quick and easy. And then I had that one left over, and I thought, you know what, that'd be cute inside. Now, it's going to hide it if you put a plant or something in there, but I did not style this for you with anything in it because I wanted you to see what it looked like. You could see the front and you could see the little flower on the inside, and I just thought it was adorable. So now I'm going to take, I don't know if that was the antique wax or the truffle, but either way, I'm just going to distress down the edges just a little bit. I'm not going to get too heavy because I love the way it looks already, and I don't want to do anything to mess that up. So I'm just going to ride around the edges with a little paintbrush with a little bit of that paint on there. Give it a little tiny bit more distressing so it'll match my stuff. And then once I go over it with my Mod Podge, this is what it turns out like. And y'all, is that not just the most adorable little planter you have ever seen? I am obsessed with this thing. I love it. And I think it's going to go perfectly in just a second when I show you my final reveal. I just love everything and the way it comes together. Look at that little cute peekaboo in there saying, hey, I'm in here. Look at me. Oh my goodness. Y'all know I gotta be silly. But anyway, let me get into my final reveal and show you what everything looks like together. Look at that. I cannot wait to hear down in the comments. Now, you know, normally I don't have that much color in my stuff with that pink, but now I love this. I love it. I think it turned out so pretty. I think it's gorgeous together. And I love the way it turned out. But let me know down in the comments, like I said a second ago, which is your favorite piece? I always like to know which is your favorite piece. And tell me now, would you have left the embellishments off of that clock? Would you have added them and left the flowers off? Like, what would you have done to it? Tell me how you would have done it. And also my little tray, what would you do with these cabinet doors? Give me some ideas of what I can do with these cabinet doors, because I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got about 10 cabinet doors that I need to do something with. So let me know down in the comments below. So as I said earlier, if you are new to Monner's Market, this is the first time you've ever been here, welcome. My name is Brenda, but my sweet grandbabies call me Monner. I have a video that comes out at 8 p.m. every single Tuesday night, Eastern Standard Time, and I try to always do a live chat so that we can get together and chit chat and talk throughout the video, because I have made some of the best friends in that live chat, and I just love y'all to death. But anyway, come join us in the live chat if you haven't. We've had several people the last month that's come in and joined us, and I love it. Keep coming back. We love y'all being here. But for now, I'm going to let you go. I've kept you longer than I normally do, but y'all had been asking for a little bit longer videos, so I'm trying to give you that. So hopefully I'll see you next Tuesday. But for now, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Be blessed. Bye now.